So, welcome to this discussion on the preliminary test, questions and answers, which we are coming up based on our assessment. Before we start the specific questions and answers, a couple of observations I would like to make. This is one of the toughest paper I have seen, not because the questions were very tough, the options were really difficult to manage. As you have seen, those who appeared in the paper, you have seen 47 questions were there, where three statements were given, and you have to choose either one, or two statements are correct, or three statements are correct. None of them are correct. So it's a very difficult proposition because you should know all the statements. Then only you can mark it correctly. So it is a very difficult proposition. 47 questions were there. Then second thing was that the reasoning assertion questions have come back. Then that to 18 of them have come back. But the only saving grace was that the questions were comparatively easy in that part. We could easily make out some of the answers. If you know even one statement, we could have managed it. So in most of the cases, at least one statement was wrong. So it was easy to manage the reasoning assertion question. So if you add that 47 plus 18, it has become 65 questions of this nature, just 35 questions for the other type. So last year, this one statement is correct and two statements are correct, or all the three correct. There were only 8 questions. Now this year it has become 47. So this has made the questions more difficult because we have to know. We cannot eliminate even a single question. All statements we know. Then only we can mark the question correctly. So this has made the questions more difficult. So the difficulty of an individual question is not the issue. Because of the options, things became very difficult for us. So we have a general feeling. That questions were very tough. Anyway, so let us come to the individual questions. So we are actually dealing with the booklet B, and in booklet. So we have all our experts sitting with us. So our history teacher is there, Mr. Ranjan is there, and science and tech Satyanand is there. Our boss in geography, Himanshu is always there. So then economics teacher will be joining, Saurabh will be joining shortly. So all of us will be discussing that. And if you look, one more point I just want to say is, if you look at the breakup of the questions, so we had a decent breakup. In fact, all areas were covered. That is the only saving grace in the whole thing. History, for example, 13 questions, polity, 13 questions, economics 14, environment 14, geography 16. So if you put geography and environment, it's already 30 questions. That is a big chunk. Then science and tech 11, current affairs around 19. So if you look that way, the breakup is very nice. But even after doing that nice breakup, they have literally put us in a lot of stress by giving those one statement is correct, two statements are correct. So it's a difficult thing. Anyway, to start with, let us start with the history questions. Of question number 1 onwards, the 1 to 10 will be Mr. Ranjan. So we will be dealing with the history. Yeah, please start.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Before discussing the question, I will just give you a glimpse of the nature of questions which have been asked. It is more so continuation of the trend which we can see in the last couple or last 3 years. But again, as sir has told, the options are the ones which make the question tough. Otherwise, the history questions are easy to medium, barring 1 or 2. Okay. So, giving this general description, let's start with question number 1. The question number 1 says, in which one of the following reasons was Dhanya Kataka? Dhanya Kataka, which flourished as a prominent Buddhist center under the Mahasangika school, where it is located. Actually, Dhanya Kataka is the ancient name of this Amaravati, Dharani Kota. Okay, so it's a very prominent Buddhist site under Satavahanas. And as we know, Satavahanas ruled in the larger region of the Deccan, and primarily it is the Maharashtra and the Andhra region where they established their rule. So the correct answer of this question is the option A, that is, it is presently located in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Okay, this Andhra region. And with reference to the question number 2, let's come to question number 2. With reference to ancient India, consider the following statements. Again, it's a question of art and culture. It deals with your architecture, Buddhist architecture section. Statement based. The first statement is the concept of stupa is Buddhist in origin. This statement is wrong because Buddhist, or you can say it's this whole concept is started with this tradition of the philosophers, the rise of philosophers, and Gautam Buddha or this Buddhist philosophy was not the first philosophy which we see in our ancient period around 6th century BC. So the people or the gurus who left their home and stayed in villages, stayed in forest areas or secluded places, and they sat in their asan for several days or months, I would say. And while doing so, some of them even died in the same yogic posture. So the nearby people, when they found them, they constructed a stupa like structure over them. So there were some gurus before Buddha over whom the stupas were developed. Therefore, the first statement will be wrong. The concept of stupa is Buddhist in origin. No, it is pre-Buddhist in origin. But yes, it was, since Gautam Buddha was one of the greatest guru of the time, therefore the largest stupa of that period was constructed over the relics of Gautam Buddha. Done? So statement 1 is wrong. Number 2, stupa was generally a repository of relics. Yes, that is correct. All of us know that the stupas, Emperor Ashok constructed several stupas throughout India, and he constructed the stupas on the relics of Gautam Buddha. So this statement is correct, that stupas are generally a repository of relics. Then statement number 3, stupa was a votive and commemorative structure. If you know the meaning of votive and commemorative structure, then you can do this statement correctly or do this question correctly. Commemorative structure means it's a kind of related to the places where the Buddha visited, or the places of importance related to the Buddha's life. So yes, in Buddhist tradition, there are stupas which are constructed for commemorative purpose. Similarly, in Buddhist tradition, there are votive stupas also. And why this point is very, it was in news also. Recently, we found a votive stupa, a miniature votive stupa, approximately around 1200 years old, from the region of Nalanda. Nalanda, as of all of us know, is a very prominent ancient Buddhist center. So this statement number 3, that is stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition, would be correct. So again I am saying statement 1 wrong, statement 2 and 3 will be correct. So the correct answer will be B, only 2. And just see the nature of the options. You cannot do the correct, or you cannot mark the right answer unless and until you know each of the statement correctly. That is what makes the paper tough. Done? Then come to question number 3. With reference to ancient term is actually, it's related to a practice of this suicide, or very similar to Salekna, although Salekna is related to Jainism. But in Sangam period, the kings who lost in their battle, they had to perform this kind of suicidal practice in to just maintain their honor, you can say. So it is the and therefore the correct answer will be the option D. If you read it, the D, what it says, a king defeated in the battle committing ritual suicide, as I have told you, ritual suicide by starving himself to death. So starving himself to death is very similar to Salekna, but it is related to your kingship and your, you can say, this whole this thing ki honor. This is being done for honor. Understood? So the correct answer for question number 4 is D. D for Delhi. Coming to the next one, again it's an easy one. Why I would say easy one? Because it's very similar to the trend which UPSC has following for last, say, couple of years. They have been asking question from the political domain, especially from the early medieval period. If you look at these dynasties belong to the early medieval period. And the question clearly says, I will read the question for you. Consider the following dynasties: Hosalas, Gahadwalas, Kakityas, and Yadavas. Okay, these are the names of 4 dynasties. What is the question related to it? How many of the above dynasties established their kingdom in early 8th century AD? How many of the dynasties established their kingdoms in early 8th century AD? If you have read the early medieval period properly, you can recall easily that none of them established their rule in early medieval, early, you can say, 8th century, because 8th century was dominated by your tripartite struggle primarily, and that is your Palas, then your Rashtrakutas in the Deccan region, okay, and in deep south also the Hosalas, the Kakityas, and Yadavas, or I would say the southern part of Deccan, they established their rule in your 11th century CE. So all of them established their rule only in late 10th or 11th century CE, and not in your early 8th century AD, and therefore the answer would be D, none of them established their kingdom in your early 8th century CE. I hope it's clear, and it can be marked in an easy section because it is a continuation of the trend. If you follow the trend and the question come from it, then you must mark it, because others who are preparing will do it. So let's move to the question number 6. I would say it's not an easy one, definitely. 2 names are very familiar, but the other 2 are not so, or not so. Devi Chandraguptam, everyone knows. Vishak Dutt, it is not Bilhan, so it is wrong. Everyone knows it is written by, during this Gupta period, Vishak Dutt was the author of Devi Chandraguptam, and it deals with this political situation of, or I would say this political situation of your Gupta dynasty, Ramagupta and all. Then the second text, so the number 1 is wrong. It is Vishak Dutt and not Bilhan. The second text, that is Hamir Mahakavya. Yes, it was written by Nyaya Chandra Suri. It is a Sanskrit Mahakavya written in 15th century CE, but it's not a very common one, I would say. It's not written, we won't find these texts in the you can say the major standard text, and therefore I would put it in the tough category. So the point number 2 is correct, that Nyaya Chandra Suri and Hamir Mahakavya. Come to Milind Panha. I am sure that a large number of students have marked this answer wrong. Milind Panha, the correct author of Milind Panha is Nagasen, not Nagarjun. Please remember. And to confuse you guys, UPSC has put up the name of Nagarjun because he belongs to the same period and is a very prominent Buddhist scholar. So Milind Panha, we know that it is a dialogue between your king and Nagasen, the Buddhist monk who converted the king into this Buddhist religion. So Milind Panha is Nagasen, not Nagarjun, therefore it's wrong. It's not correct. And the fourth one, that is Niti Vakrimit, is written by Somdev Suri. That is also correct. So the correct answer or the option would be, how many of the above pairs are correctly matched? The option will be B, that is only 2. Only 2. Please remember, not 3, only 2. Milind Panha is Nagasen, not Nagarjun. Coming to the next question, that is question number 7. It is one of the easiest one, I would say. Again, from the cultural section, UPSC has continued their trend, Buddhism, Jainism and all. And from Jainism, it has been asked, it is a very easy one. Souls are, it is a statement, quote unquote, souls are not only the property of animal and plant life, but also of rocks, comma, running water, and many other natural objects not looked on as living by other religious sects, unquote. The above statement reflects one of the core beliefs of which one of the following religious sects of ancient India? It's very easy. It's Jainism. Everything has a soul. That is the core principle or core aspect of Jainism. Understood? So the answer will be B, Bombay, Jainism. Moving forward, question number 8. Who among the following rulers of Vijayanagar Empire constructed a large dam across Tungabhadra river? The first ruler of Vijayanagar Empire who actually paid eminent focus on irrigation was your Devrai I. And he was the ruler who constructed this canal. Understood? So if you can recall that aspect, that who was the first ruler who played emphasis on your irrigation and all, then you could have done this question correctly. But yes, it's a medium one. It's not easy. It's not very tough. But yes, the questions from the medieval section, especially polity section of medieval, has been increased or increasing in the recent periods, and we hope means it matches the trend of UPSC. So the correct answer to the question number 8 will be A, Devrai 1. Okay. Next one, question number 9. Who among the following rulers of medieval Gujarat surrendered Diu to the Portuguese? All of us know that Portuguese came to India in your late 19th century, and they started establishing their centers. First, they started to control this ocean, but under this Albuquerque, they started to even establish their centers on land, the coastal areas. And under this policy, they first conquered Goa in 1910, and later on they tried to conquer other coasts of the western areas. And we know that Diu is a region in the western coast. It was under the Gujarat rulers, and during this early 16th century, I would say 1530s, I would say, these Gujarat rulers were facing threat from whom? Threat from the Mughals also. Therefore, they wanted to get the support of Portuguese against the Mughals, and for doing so, Emperor Bahadur Shah, he surrendered Diu to Portuguese. And in return, what he got? He got that support from the Portuguese against the Mughals, because the kingdom of Gujarat was under the threat from the Mughals. So the correct answer would be Bahadur Shah, that is option C. Understood? The question number 9, correct answer option C. Now the 10th question, and it is one of the easiest, I would say, in this whole paper and it is, by which one of the following act was the Governor General of Bengal designated as Governor General of India? Everyone knows it is the Charter Act of 1833. Okay, and with this history section is completed, and then Jojo sir will continue with this polity section.
Question number 11 is about due process of law. As you know very well, due process of Article 21 itself talks about procedure established by law. So this is due process of law.
I'll interrupt you. One thing I wanted to say. In between, when students were preparing for prelims, many of them called me and they asked, sir, we haven't prepared ancient history very well, medieval history very well. Should we leave it and we just focus on modern? So I told them that ultimately selection in prelims depends upon the number of areas you are covering. And because if you have covered all the areas, then the easy questions and the moderate questions you will be able to attempt them.
You cannot leave any area and go to the exam hall. It will be disastrous. So anyway, so the due process of law, 4 options are given. It's a conceptual question. The principle of natural justice. No, the due process is, the fair application of law. C should be the answer in this case, because procedure established by law, we know the procedure is already written down. So the opposite, the American concept of due process of law has been taken into the Indian Constitution by the Supreme Court in the Maneka Gandhi case, and this is the fair application of the law. The law should be fair to all. That is the meaning of due process of law. Coming to question number 12, the 2 statements are given. One, in India, the prisons are managed by the state government. Yes, it is a state list, no problem. And so the first statement is correct. Similarly, the second statement, in India, the prisons are governed by the Prisons Act 1894. That is also correct. Both the statements are correct. Now, in reason and assertion, this kind of statement 1 and 2, whether it is the correct explanation, we have to put in because and read the questions together, both the statements together. If you read that, in India, the prisons are managed by the state governments with their own rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration, because in India, prisons are governed by the Prisons Act of 1894. So it's logical. So the answer should be A in this case. So both the statements are correct, and the second statement is the correct explanation of first statement. So answer is A. Coming to question number 13, the chief purpose of the Constitution of India. So in constitution of a country. So any constitution defines the form of the government and at the same time limits the power of the government. That is the very essence of any constitution. So in this particular case, answer should be C, because it defines and limits the power of the government. That is the most important thing, because for a common man, for a citizen, constitution is about limiting the power of the government. The ruler should not go unchecked, uncontrolled. That is the meaning of it. So question number 13, C is the answer. Coming to question number 14, in India, which one of the following constitutional amendments is widely believed to be enacted to overcome the judicial interpretation of the fundamental rights? See, this is something, immediately after the Keshwan Bharati case of 1973, in 1976, when the 42nd Amendment during the emergency period, this is the time it is considered to be a mini constitution. One of the reasons why this constitutional amendment has taken place only to curtail the interpretation by the Supreme Court, especially on the fundamental rights and all, because fundamental rights started expanding during this time. For 73, the Supreme Court came up with the concept of basic structure. To overrule that, this 42nd Amendment Act came. So among the four options, the most appropriate should be B, 42nd Amendment Act. Question number 15, which is the following are constitutional body. Only one is constitutional, that is National Backward Class Commission, because we have a Scheduled Caste Commission is there, Scheduled Tribe Commission is there, now Backward Class Commission is also there. Human Rights Commission is not a constitutional body, it is only a statutory body. Law Commission is a statutory body. So even National Consumer Dispute Redressal, all are statutory, but the National Commission for Backward Class is a constitutional body. So answer is A. Question number 16, again, which of the following statements are correct? The first statement talks about President of India is declared, the election of the President of India, if it is declared void, all the acts done by him also will become invalid. That is incorrect. It will not be. No action can be declared invalid even if the election is declared invalid. So first statement is wrong. Second statement, election for the post of the President can be postponed on ground of some legislative assemblies of vacancies. Again wrong, it cannot be postponed. Vacancy cannot be a reason for postponing. Number 3, when a bill is presented to the President, the Constitution prescribes time limit. No time limit is prescribed. So all the three statements are wrong. All the three statements are wrong, and so there is none of them are correct. So answer is D. Question number 17, the finance bill and money bill. So now, in fact, there is a confusion between finance and financial bill. Here, it seems they have taken we have to take it as a financial bill concept only. If you look that way, all the three statements are correct. So first statement says Lok Sabha. When a Lok Sabha transmits finance bill to the Rajya Sabha, it can be amended, or it can amend or reject. Rajya Sabha can amend or reject it, but money bill cannot be done. Second statement is when Lok Sabha transmits money bill to the Rajya Sabha, it cannot amend or reject the bill. It can only be make recommendations. The second statement is also correct. Third statement, in case of disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no joint sitting for money bill, yes, but a joint sitting becomes necessary for a financial bill. So all the three statements are correct. So answer should be C. Question number 18, it is about the community reserve. Recently it was in news. So the chief wildlife warden of the state becomes the governing authority of such forest. Section 33 says that in a community reserve, chief wildlife warden is the governing authority. That is correct. Hunting is not allowed in such area. That is also correct. Then people of such area are allowed to collect non-timber. That is again not correct. They are not allowed. People are not allowed to collect any non-timber forest produce also, as well as no agriculture is permitted. So 3 and 4 are wrong. 1 and 2 are correct. So only 2 statements are correct. So answer should be B. Coming to question number 19. Here again, scheduled areas. Article 244, here President of India can notify through an order. That is correct. First statement is correct. Second statement is also correct, because the largest administrative unit forming the scheduled area is a district, and the lowest can be a cluster of village in a block. That is because ultimately it has to be managed through a administrative unit. So district and the block. That is correct. Third statement is wrong. Chief Minister is of the concerned state is required to submit annual report. That is not correct. Governor will have to submit so third statement is wrong. So only 2 statements are correct in this case. 1 and 2 are correct. First statement as well as second statement. So 2 statements are correct. So answer should be B for Bombay. And 20th question, the Supreme Court has held some judgments of the regarding reservation. Article 16(4) of the Constitution is limited by Article 335. Yes, for the maintenance of efficiency of the administration. So first statement is correct. Article 335 talks about if the claims by the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes should be considered, but subject to the maintenance of efficiency of the administration. 335 says Supreme Court has validated that also. So first statement is correct. But second statement, 335, India defines the term efficiency. No, there is no definition of efficiency in Article 335. So second statement is wrong. First statement is correct. So answer should be C. So now moving into so 21 onwards. So 21, it is a question on geography. Himanshu will be talking about that.
So one thing which was there in the paper, geography, was little bit our friend, and there were more direct questions from geography. So let us discuss question number 21. It was a quite easy one. 21, I would say it was a mix of geography and science and technology. So there were two statements. So statement one was saying India, despite having uranium deposits, depends on coal for most of its electricity production. The statement, if you talk about, is very correct, because we know that almost 50%, more than 50%, in fact, contribution is coming from coal. And so statement one is correct. If you talk about statement two, uranium enriched to extent at least 60% is required for production of electricity. This statement is definitely wrong, because even 5% enrichment is enough for production of electricity. Yes.
2% is also.
Yes, yes.
20% is weapon grade.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
That is highly enriched uranium. Yeah.
So definitely the answer becomes easy here to mark. It would be C, where statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Coming to question number 22, and again it was from biogeography and environment ecology part. So statement 1 says marsupials are not naturally found in India. So definitely we know, because marsupials, they are present in Australia, and marsupials, if you talk about, are also found in South America. So there are two continents only where marsupials are left. Other parts of the world, they have become extinct. So as a student, you should be aware that marsupials were actually early form of mammals, and with the present placental mammals, when they evolved, they were more superior in competition. So ultimately they made them extinct. So statement 1 is definitely correct. Statement 2 says that marsupials can thrive only in mountain grasslands with no predators. So here you can understand, we have already talked about this before also, that when such extreme statements are there, they generally tend to be wrong. And here it was talking about only. And if you just look into Australia, you'll find that there is actually variety of marsupials found. In fact, the variety is so huge that almost all type of the present mammals, they are also represented in the marsupials, and thus they inhabit variety of if you talk about habitats. So it is not just mountain grasslands.
In fact, Australia, majority of the landform is not mountain.
Mountain
It's all
grassland.
semi-arid.
Yes. So the statement 2 is definitely wrong. So here also the answer would be becoming easy, and it was C was the answer. Then moving on to the question number 23, invasive species specialist group that develops global invasive species database belongs to which of the following organization? So it was a question from environment ecology, mainly the conventions and all. So the answer here is the International Union for Conservation of Nature. So for 23 it is A. So it was more straightforward, it was more factual. Then question number 24, it talks about how many of the above generally are nocturnal or most active after sunset. So you can understand that this question was also should have been answered, because most of these animals which are mentioned here, they are very famous. And basically when we are studying about the endangered animals, endangered species, we study about majority of them. And when we are studying them, we also study about the habitat and their behavior. So that is something which I expect the students should have done. So here the answer was 2 and 3, that is Malabar civet and sambar deer. They are basically, they have nocturnal habits. And lion-tailed macaw, if you talk about, that is basically daytime animal. So the answer was B.
Sambar
Only two.
deer, especially, it goes for after dusk.
Yes,
It
after
is mainly
dusk.
fooding is after
Yes,
dusk.
yes.
Yeah.
So these are the
Yeah.
questions.
So coming to question number 25, it's talking about waggle dance. And again, it's unique. Honeybees are famous for waggle dance, especially that dance that they indicate. They communicate to the other honeybee, the herd that where is the food and how much distance is there. So it is a unique habit of a honeybee. So answer is C. Question number 25.
And also, honeybees have this property that they decide everything based on this waggle dance. So where they have to move or they have to find food. So everything is decided democratically, and through waggle dance, they show that this space is more beneficial for them.
So coming to question number 26 about this statement about the mushrooms. I mean, that is luckily again, I think it's a simple question. Some mushrooms have medicinal properties, some have psychoactive properties, some have insecticidal properties, and also the bioluminescence. So all the four statements are correct. So I think it is one of the lucky questions in science, and anybody can go ahead and mark it. So all four are correct. So answer is D. Similarly, question number 27. Again, this is slightly tricky. Our squirrels, I mean, our own squirrels, the question is, they build nests by making burrows in ground. That is the problem. So squirrels make burrows, or rather, most of their nests are not in ground. That is in the trees, in some hole, holes, or even in the buildings and all. They'll come and make, but not in the ground. Similarly, they store their food material, nuts, seeds, etc. Again, in ground, it is said. Ground is the problem. It is in their nest they will store, but normally not in. So both the statements are wrong. 1 and 2 are wrong. So, but they are omnivorous. So generally we have a feeling that squirrels eat only nuts and seeds, but it's not correct. They are omnivorous. So one statement is correct. So only one. A is the answer in this case. Question number 27. Question number 28. Consider the following. Again, science related.
So in this question, they are asking about microorganisms, and they are saying that are there some microorganisms which can exist above boiling temperature, also below freezing temperature, as well as in highly acidic temperature. So if you look at microorganisms, so thermophiles can exist when above 100 degree. Then we have psychrophiles, they can exist in below freezing point. We can find these microorganisms in polar areas. Then acidosophiles, they can exist in highly acidic environment even with pH value around 0. So basically, you just had to use some common sense to answer this question, that microorganisms are present in all kinds of atmosphere. So if temperatures are higher or lower, there will be microorganisms.
That is how life was began, highly acidic.
Highly acidic. So 20.
Question number 29 is again, very again interesting one. The animal use which makes a tool with a stick to scrap insects and all. See, among the four, even the sloth bear and all, they are famous for attacking the termites and all. Orangutan is the answer because they make 40 different tools. It seems they know how to use the stick, or even this small what you call wooden portion, how to catch these termites and insects and all. So in this article, question number 29, B is the answer, orangutan is the answer. Question number 30 is about the lubricant and hydrofluorocarbons.
So hydrofluorocarbons are generally non-toxic. So they are used in different things. So they are asking about in the makings of aerosols, foam agents, fire retardants, and lubricants. So the first three are very easy. It's used in the three things. In lubricants, it's used for decreasing friction and also wear. So basically, the efficiency of lubricants increases after using hydrofluorocarbons.
In fact, hydrofluorocarbons are we are trying to eliminate them because of the issues related to our environment and atmosphere. We know it very well. So they're all harmful now, but we initially, when we started using, we never thought can be so dangerous, but now it has become, we are in the process of eliminating all the four: aerosol, aerosols, foam, fire retardant, lubricant. Everywhere we are trying to remove hydrofluorocarbons. Yeah.
Okay, so from 31 to 40, the questions were from geography. So Let us start them. So 31, it was three statements were given. First statement talked about Jhelum River passes through Wooler Lake. So this statement is correct. In fact, you might be aware that Wooler Lake also controls the flow of Jhelum. So
Oxbow Lake.
yes, it is an oxbow lake of Jhelum. Then the second statement says that Krishna River directly feeds Koleru Lake. This statement is not correct. Uh, Koleru Lake is fed by number of distributaries, if you talk about,
And flooded water.
and flooded waters. So that statement is not correct. And if you talk about meandering of Gandak River formed Kamar Lake. So again, this statement is wrong because it is not Gandak, but it is Budi Gandak. So here the answer would be A, that is only one. Now moving on to question number 32. And question number 32 said it talks about the three ports of India, very famous ports of India. So hopefully this was again a easy question which you should be aware. I can understand if you made some mistake in 31, but 32 should be something which
Yes.
should be done. So if you talk about the Kamarajar
Kamarajar.
Kamarajar port, it is, you must be aware that Chennai, if you talk about eastern coast of India, where we find that there are no natural harbors found. So if you talk about near Chennai, this
Ennore.
port was developed as a greenfield port. And definitely it is the first major port in India registered as a company. Then if you talk about Mundra port, largest
Adani.
privately owned port in India, definitely this is a more recent port which has come up, and definitely this statement is true. Then third is talking about Vishakhapatnam port, largest container port in India. Definitely the statement is wrong because it is Jawaharlal Nehru Mumbai airport. So that is basically the port which is essentially the largest container port. In fact, in recent times, if you look into even Mundra port, if you talk about, it is coming
Yeah.
very near to the container capacities if you talk about. So here there were two statements which were correct, 1 and 2. So the answer should be B. Only two pairs.
Mantra, just to add, Kamarajar is the Ennore port.
Yes,
the
Ennore,
second
Ennore port.
outport of Chennai.
It is north of Chennai,
He is
around
named
20.
after Kamaraj, na?
Yes,
Kamarajar.
yes.
And Mundra Adani, I mean, nobody can forget our great
Yes.
Adani. So, so he will rule the country in future. So, no doubt, it is the largest privately owned. 33.
Then coming to question number 33. So again, I have told you again and again that it has been a trend in geography in geography questions in prelims that at least two questions from the cropping pattern they are asking. So again, we were not disappointed. There was this question. So it was asking how many of these are deciduous. I would say that it was not easy. Teak we all knew, but Mahua there was confusion. In fact, I also faced this confusion. So I also had to check. So jackfruit, if you talk about, there was no problem. It is basically evergreen. Mahua is essentially evergreen and semi-evergreen. So the only correct option here is teak. So the answer should be A. So 33A.
No. It's evergreen, yeah, both. See, in fact, this Mahua's biggest problem is it is found in the deciduous
Yes.
region, but evergreen and semi-evergreen. Yes. So only teak is deciduous. Yes.
Coming to question number 34, it was comparatively easier question. So here India has more arable area than China. So this statement is definitely correct. You know, India has the second most arable land if you talk about after US, if you say. Then the second statement was saying the proportion of irrigated area is more in India as compared to China. So if we look into, India has 48% of its net zone area under irrigation, while China, when we are talking about, it has 41% of the total area under irrigation. So statement 2 was also correct. Third, you can understand कि class में भी we have several times talk about that after some times क्या होगा कि जो नंबर 1 की डेफिनेशन बन जाएगा वो चाइना बन जाएगा. So when it comes to productivity, again what we are finding that India's productivity is much below China. So third statement was definitely wrong. So here the option again B will be correct, only 2. Then question number 35, which of the following is the best example of repeated falls in sea level giving rise to present day extensive marshland? There was some doubt with us also with respect to this question. We are putting the answer to be D, Ran of Kutch, because here a number of things are given. Like if you see, Marakkam salt pans are also mentioned, and they are also part of that Ran area only. Okay, so the thing is, because there was in this question a keyword present day extensive
Extensive.
marshland.
In fact, that extensive is the key.
Yes. So on the basis of that, we believe that the answer should be Ran of Kutch.
Yes. There is no other that
Yes.
extensive. Yeah.
Then 36 was a very straightforward question. Ilmenite and rutile. These are, ultimately,
Minerals of
yes, uh, these are the ores of titanium basically. So that was easy. Then 37, about 3/4 of the world cobalt metal required for manufacture of batteries for electric motor vehicles is produced by. So again, this was a more direct question. Democratic Republic of Congo, you know that.
Katanga,
Yes, Katanga Plateau. I have so many times talked about in the class.
copper, cobalt,
Yes.
Katanga, copper, cobalt, Katanga. हम लोग
And
both.
you should be aware about this because because of that this area is so much troubled. We talk about that ultimately there are negative effects of having resources. So it is a very good example of that. Then again coming to question number 38, which one of the following is a part of Congo Basin? So this was again a very straightforward answer. Cameroon is the answer here. I'll move on to question number 39. Consider the following statements. Here, first statement says Amarkantak hills are at the confluence of Vindhya and Sahyadri range. So you must be aware that Amarkantak is essentially these hills or plateaus are the eastward extension of the Satpura range.
Yeah.
So this statement was definitely wrong. Then the second statement is saying Biligiri Rangan hills constitute the easternmost part of the Satpura range. So what they have done here, they have changed 1 and 2,
Yes.
and that is how this is wrong. Then if you talk about say Chalam hills constitute the southernmost part of the Western Ghats, again it is wrong. And if you talk about they are found at the junction of the Eastern and Western Ghat. So again, because of that, this statement is also wrong. So the answer should be D.
All the three are wrong.
All the three are wrong. Coming to question number 40. So here it is related with the transport and infrastructure topic of your paper 3. So with reference to India's project on connectivity, consider the following statements. East-West corridor under the Golden Quadrilateral project connects Dibrugarh and Surat. This statement is essentially wrong. And the second one, trilateral highway connects More in Manipur and Chiang Mai in Thailand. Via Myanmar. So it is not Chiang Mai.
Mysot.
Yes.
Maesot.
Yes.
Mysot.
So this statement was also wrong. And the third statement, if you talk about Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar, economic corridor connects Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh with Kunming in China. So here it is not Varanasi, it was Kolkata.
Kolkata to Kunming.
Kunming.
Yes.
So here
fact,
again,
but this third one, it has never taken off.
Yes.
It is only a proposed one. PCIM. This is Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar. It is proposed in 2006 onwards, but never taken up because of our animosity between India and China. So, but proposal is from Kunming in that eastern province to Calcutta through all these states.
So the answer here will be D.
D. None of them. All the three are wrong.
Then there are questions of economy. I think let us tell the answers of these. It would be better when.
Explain later on. 41.
Yeah, I do. So, the question number 41, I'll only read the answers. The explanation. Economics, he'll join us in some time. So, the answer for question number 41 is D, T for Delhi. Okay. Then, the question number 42, if I want, I can read the question also. That's fine.
Just mention it.
Okay. So, question number 42, the answer is option A.
Post-pandemic recent past.
Post-pandemic recent past in this question.
Very easy question. So the question is asking about like why central banks increase their interest rate. So basically to curb inflation. So that's the
Definitely.
basic question. Similarly, in 43, the first statement is correct. It's talking about carbon markets and saying that it's going to be one of the widespread tools in
Yes,
the fight
definitely.
against climate change. So we know about Kyoto Protocol and CDM mechanism, everything. But statement 2 is not correct. It's the like carbon markets transfer resources from the private sector to the state. It's one of the regions. There are also multiple regions. Like companies will be more efficient with respect to energy conservation, and also they will be trading with other companies for their carbon credits. So second statement is wrong. And
Statement is correct, but statement correctly.
correct, but it's not the explanation.
Explanation.
Explanation of one.
So B should be the
should
answer.
the answer. Similarly, this part of sterilization, so we all know it's direct question. It's open
It's a
market
direct one. It's
operations.
OMO, open market operations. So the answer is A.
In 45, consider the following markets: government bond market, call money market, treasury bill market, stock market. How many of the above are included in capital markets? So only 2 are included. The answer will be B.
B.
45's answer will be
B.
Then 46, a small farmer, large field concept. So it's a concept of allowing farmers to organize themselves. So small farmers or marginal farmers to organize themselves, and they will also replicate the benefits of large firms. So the answer will be B.
B.
47.
47.
It's so government of India provides minimum support price for Niger seeds. It's correct. Niger is a kharif crop. Then also some tribal people in India use Niger seed oil for cooking. So it's also
The answer is
all the 3 are correct. In 48, consider the investments in following assets: brand recognition, inventory, intellectual property, mailing list of clients. How many of them are considered intangible investment? So when we talk about tangible investment, then it should have some kind of physical form. So brand recognition, intangible; inventory is tangible. Then intellectual property is also, it's type of an idea, so intangible. And mailing list of clients are also intangible because it does not have any physical form. All of these things have values, but they are not tangible. So the answer will be only 3: brand recognition, intellectual property, and mailing list of clients. Similarly, in 49, consider the following.
In 49, this is about the 15th Finance Commission they have asked, which are the items included in this. So demographic performance specifically mentioned, not the population. First time, when in the 15th Finance Commission, it is not the demographic performance. If a state is performing better or bad, accordingly a percentage is fixed for sharing of the money. Similarly, forest and ecology, not the forest cover. Forest cover was earlier till 14th Finance Commission. So forest and ecology has come into picture. Similarly, tax and tax effort, fiscal efforts for the improvement. So this was again a new thing added in 15th Finance Commission. So 1, 2 and this tax and fiscal efforts, these 3 are included in the 15th Finance Commission. There is no mention about government reforms, governance reform. There is no mention about stable government. So there is no mention about those 2. 3 are there. So only 3. So 49 should be B, only 3. Then 50 is affordable housing. All 4.
Consider in this question, we have all the 4 are included in this idea of ENOPS, sustainable investment in infrastructure and innovation. So all 4 are correct.
Coming to this 51, this is some of the current affairs or general knowledge we can say. So here 51 says about the home guards. So first statement is wrong because home guards come under the state government, okay, state and the provincial government. So it is not under the rules of the central government. So first statement is wrong. Second statement is correct because home guards and auxiliary force to the police to maintenance of internal security. Third statement is also correct. So 2 of them are correct. 2 and 3 are correct. So 2 statements are correct. First statement is wrong. So answer should be B. Only 2 should be the answer here. Similarly, 52. Here, again, some of the, this celebrity gunfire and firing in the air, it's a very common thing in North India. So they to curb, and then a lot of people are losing their lives also. So Arms Amendment Act was made in 2019. That third statement is correct. But unauthorized wearing a police or military uniform, it is checked under Army Act or Police Act, not under the Official Secrets Act. So first statement is wrong. Second statement, misleading or otherwise interfering with the police officer or military officer, it comes under the IPC, not under the Evidence Act. So second statement is also wrong. So two of these statements are wrong. Only one is correct. So answer is A. Similarly, 53. Now it is about the some of the current affairs, the international issues we can see. So we are talking about the North Kivu and Ituri, that is in Democratic Republic of Congo. So it's a war torn area. It's a conflict area in DRC. Similarly, this Nagorno Karabakh is in Armenia Azerbaijan conflict region in the Caucasus Mountains. So that is also wrong. Then this Kherson and Zaporizhia, that is in Ukraine. That is a war zone where Russia has captured also. So all the three are wrong. So the question is, how many of the above parts are correctly matched? None of them are correctly matched because all the three are wrong. Then coming to 54, Israel has established diplomatic relations with some of the Arab states. That's a correct statement. It was done in 1993 after the what is that, Oslo Accord. Oslo Accord in 1993, and the first time even this was done. Even our Egypt came an agreement with Israel in 1979 itself. Okay, so that first statement is correct, but the second statement says Arab Peace Initiative mediated by Saudi Arabia was signed by Israel and Arab League. That is also correct. This Arab Peace Initiative was mediated by Saudi Arabia, but that was in 2018. So if you add both the statements are correct, but the problem is now question is whether the first statement, the second statement is explaining the first statement. No. So then B should be the answer, because Israel has established diplomatic relations with some of the Arab states, not because of the Arab Peace Initiative. It was done because of the Oslo Accord and the accord signed between Israel and Egypt in 1979 itself. So both the statements are correct, but second statement is not the correct explanation of the first statement. So answer should be B. So 54, answer is B. 55, it is again about, it's an easy question. If you read carefully, you will understand. Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award is the highest award. It is not for 4 years. It is for the lifetime activity. Okay, lifetime award is given in the Major Dhyan Chand. Arjuna Award, normally it is considered for the last 4 years of performance. So second largest award is Arjuna Award. Dronacharya Award is for the trainers. So third statement is correct. 1 and 2 are wrong. Again, fourth statement, Rashtriya Khel Protsahan Puraskar, which was started. This is for corporates, voluntary organizations, sports and organizations and all who had actually done good job in promoting sports in the country, not for the retired people. So first statement, second statement, fourth statement are wrong. Only one statement is correct, that is Dronacharya Award. So that is only one. The question number 56. 44th Chess Olympiad, which was held in India for the first time. It was supposed to be held in Russia, but because of COVID and this war and all, it has come to India. It was in Chennai, so it was held in India. That first statement is correct. Official mascot was also correct. The Thambi was the name. So both the statements are correct, but 3 and 4 are not correct. Third statement is the Vera Menchik Cup. It is the all-time great chess player, lady chess player who died in 1944 was this Vera Menchik, and after her, we have the FIDE has this cup called Vera Menchik Cup. It is not an open second for women. So third statement is anyway wrong. And fourth statement, this Hamilton Russell Cup, that is also chess cup only, but not this in a Olympiad award. It is in UK. This cup is there. So 3 and 4 are wrong in this context. So it is not part of this chess Olympiad, 44th chess Olympiad. So only 2 statements are correct. That is B. 57, again, Donbass is in Ukraine. Donbass is a coal area. It is a geography question. Kachin area is a troubled area in Myanmar. It is a Kachin rebels are there. And this Tigray region is in Ethiopia. Again, it's a conflict region. So all the 3 are wrong. Donbass is shown as Syria here, Kachin as Ethiopia, that is on Tigray as North Yemen. So all the 3 are wrong. None is the answer. 57, none. 58, then Chad, Guinea, Mali, then Sudan, all are in this and the transition zone between the Sahara and Savannah region and Sahel. That's what we call a Sahel region. Sahel region, as we know very well, it is a semi-arid. Desertification is the biggest problem there. It's a conflict zone also. The southward expanded Sahara desert, we can say. Basically, it is not Sahara is not expanding. This region is converting into a desert because of the low carrying capacity of the region. So anyway, so C should be the answer. Coming to 59, this is related to the green hydrogen, we can say.
So the question is asking about the use of green hydrogen, which can potentially decarbonize some of the industries. And the question is asking about three specific industries: fertilizer plants, oil refineries, and steel plants. So green hydrogen will have these main decarbonizing potential in all the three industries: fertilizer, oil, and steel plants. So the answer is all three C.
Question number 60 about the G20. Finally, Modi ji का G20 के लिए भी कुछ मौका मिल गया. So बहुत बढ़िया. So G20 was originally started. Otherwise G20 करते करते लोगों को लगेगा कि G20 हमने पैदा किया. This was started in 1998 as a platform of finance ministers and central bank governors. Anyway, subsequently after 2008 a financial crisis, the heads of government meeting started. Anyway, so G20 originally started. That the first statement is correct. As bank governors and central finance ministers conference. Then digital public infrastructure is one of India's G20 priority. Yes, we are talking about digital infrastructure, public infrastructure. So both the statements are correct luckily here. So answer should be C in this case. Now coming to history
section.
A couple of questions.
Three questions are there. So question number 61, I would put it in tough category because the names are not the usual one actually. The question reads, with reference to Indian history, Alexander Ree, comma, A.H. Longhurst, comma, Robert Sewell, comma, James Burgess, and Walter Elliot were associated with. Actually, all of them were British servants. They were related to archaeological excavations. If you can recall their name, it's I'm not saying that although some of them were in news and some of them were written in NCRT, but then also each word which is given in NCRT you cannot recall in the examination, and you won't read it in that sense that I need to recall it. So that's why I keep it in a tough category. But if you see this, the name of Alexander Ree, he was the one who excavated the site of Adichanallur in 1902-1903, where we found some objects of gold and all. In recent excavation of Adichanallur, the similar items were found, and therefore, if you read if you have read the articles in the newspapers of Hindu or Express or Times of India, any newspaper, you must have found his name also referred in those articles. But yes, it was one of those things which not everyone will remember. So Alexander Ree, A.H. Longhurst, he was also one who excavated the sites of your Deccan region, the Vijayanagar, Hampi and all. Similarly, Robert Sewell, he also excavated the similar region. James Burgess, he actually was one of the most prominent archaeologists. He succeeded Alexander Cunningham. Alexander Cunningham, we all of us know that he was the first Director General of your Archaeological Survey of India. Na? So he was the one who succeeded him. But then it's not a trend-based question, therefore we won't study. Normally, the students don't focus on these names as such. And the last one is Walter Elliot. It is referred in NCRT, but yes, the same thing. All of them, if you can say, they all of them were English servants and participated in archaeological excavation primarily in South India. And some of them were in news, and so the correct answer is the option A, archaeological excavations. I would put it in your tough category. Next one, it's not very easy, but a medium one, and medium to easy one because of the nature of the question, the trend. If you see, it's a match the following question with the name of site.
Medium and easy is depending upon whether you know all the three. Na?
that is the case. Yes, the sir pointed it very correctly. Because of this options, it becomes tough.
It is tough.
Yes, because of the options, it becomes tough. The question otherwise was moderate one. So Base Nagar, it's the Vidisa where we found this Garud pillar inscription. If you can see, it is one of the earliest archaeological evidence of the rise of Vaishnavism in India. So it was a Vaishnav site,
not
a Shaiva site. So that also we can recall. Very near to the same Garud pillar inscription, we have a remain of a temple. Also, that is also this Vishnu temple, the archaeologists have identified as. Then the site of Bhaj. Bhaj is a very prominent cave site located in your Maharashtra region, and during the Satvahana period, this whole region of your Maharashtra, this Deccan, na, there large number of your chaityas and viharas were constructed. This Buddhist shrines were constructed. So the same, the site of Bhaj, which is also located in the same region, is also a Buddhist cave shrine. So this is correct. Base Nagar, it was not a Shaivite, whereas Bhaj, yes, it is a Buddhist cave shrine. So this point number 2 is correctly matched. Point number 3, if you say Sitnavasal, it is a very, very prominent Jain cave site. So it flourished under the Pandyans.
So all questions are art and culture.
Haan.
Almost all.
Art and culture, and some questions which have been asked from medieval, na, they are of political nature.
Political, yes.
Political nature. Modern, though, it's almost gone. It's almost gone.
Yes.
So this is the trend. So the answer, correct answer to this question number 62 will be only 2. That is option B. B for Bombay. Okay. Moving forward to the next question, it is a statement, your assertion reason.
Modern history.
It is also linked to current affairs.
Yes.
It's not general one.
Yeah.
Only one question have been asked from, which is pure modern history, if you can say, and that was one of the easiest one.
Yes.
Easiest one, that is related to the Governor General of Bengal changed to Governor General of India. So the question number 63, the statement 1 reads, 7th August is declared as a National Handloom Day. Yes, it was. I think it's 2015. It was
16.
16. Okay, it was declared as. And why it was done so? Yes, it was done so to, you can say, to commemorate this whole start of the Swadesi movement.
Yes.
In 1905. It started on 7th August 1905 when a boycott resolution was passed in the Congress session. So that boycott resolution, passing of that boycott resolution is regarded as the start of the Swadesi movement, and that happened on the same date of 7th August. Therefore, this reason is also correct. So the correct answer to this is option A. That is both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. The next question 64-65, it's actually polity and history mix. So JoJo sir will take those
So
questions.
National Flag Code 2002, they have, two statements are given, but unfortunately again it is a tough one because nobody can remember all these figures, like whether it's a 600 mm to 400 mm is a standard size prescribed in the code. If you read the code, you can understand that it is not mentioned. So first statement is wrong. 900 by 600 mm is given, 450 by 300 mm is given, 225 by 150 mm is given, 150 by 100 is given, 3:2 ratio is correct. Statement 2 is correct. But first statement is wrong because 600 by 400 is not given. The 3:2 is working, but this is not mentioned in the National Flag Code. So statement A 1 is wrong, 2 is correct. So answer should be D. Similarly, 65. Constitution Day is celebrated on the 26th November. That is the day when finally the Constituent Assembly passed the constitution of our country. That is 26th of November, but Constitution did not come into being. We know very well, Constitution came into being on 26th of January 1950. After 2 months, it had to be notified, and it had, procedural delay was there. It took some time to finally for the Constitution come into being. So first statement is correct. So second statement which is given is wrong because 26th November 1949 Constituent Assembly set up drafting committee. That is the wrong statement. That is the day when Constitution was finally passed in the Constituent Assembly. First statement is correct. Second statement is wrong. So answer should be C. Then 66. Himanshu can answer better. Switzerland, leading exporter of gold in terms of value. That is correct. But yeah.
Yes, so 66 it was again from geography, and Switzerland is one of the leading exporters of gold in terms of value. It is correct, and Switzerland has the second largest gold reserves in the world. Definitely this statement is wrong.
In fact, I was just going through the world figures.
Yes.
USA has the largest with
Yes.
8,000 metric tons. Germany has 3,300 metric tons.
And
Italy has number 3. Yeah, France.
Switzerland is I think 5 or 6
Yeah, much
in the
much
list.
lower.
Uh-huh.
Much lower. Coming to question number 67, is all current affairs related. So recently, United States of America and European Union has launched this Trade and Technology Council. That's a correct statement. They have recently signed it. But the second statement is wrong. First statement is correct. Second statement says they have done it to trying to bring technological progress and physical productivity. No, absolutely wrong. In fact, they have done to coordinate approach on global trade, economic and technological issues, deepening the transatlantic trade based on shared values. This is what they have given as the reason for this trade and technological council. So first statement is correct. Second statement is wrong. See, luckily in this assertion reason type question, in most of the question, at least one statement is wrong. That is a good thing. Otherwise, A and B would have been a big problem. So luckily only one or two questions where you have to go for A and B. So here answer is C. Similarly, the next question again, it is a bit of economics also. India accounts for 3.2% of the global export of goods. It is absolutely wrong. We are very poor in export. We know very well. The combined trade is only 1.8%. In that 1.8% also, India's import is more than export. So its export is much, much less than 1% of the global export. So that way the first statement is wrong. But second statement is the general statement is correct. So if you have just read the question also, if you are with the common sense also, you can mark this answer. So second statement is automatically has to be correct now. No need to read also because first statement is wrong. So D is the answer in this case. So we have some lucky answers like that also. Without knowing also we can get this if you know the first statement. Similarly, 69. The Stability and Growth Pact of European Union is a treaty. It is between the European Union countries. Now this is basically for controlling their fiscal deficit so that they should not spend their money unnecessarily. You wanted to add something in that? In fact, it is written they are to prevent the countries from spending beyond their means. I think a stability and growth pact should be there in India because all these freebies which we are announcing, how do they pay? From where they pay? Nobody knows. No? The same thing. But European Union countries are mandatory that they cannot spend their money. Their fiscal deficit cannot be more than 3%, and their total debt should not be more than 60%. Yes. So they have put that. So A, only one statement
in fact, in most of these first world countries, this has been a major issue.
Yes.
And what they are calling it as the austerity measures.
Yes. And in so fact, as we remember, Greek crisis was because of that.
Yes, yes.
This target of fiscal deficit in FRBM Act was borrowed from European Union.
Yes.
So there was no logic behind like we should have this much in India. So they just borrowed that.
And not Greece crisis, Greece crisis, they have fudged the data.
Yes.
And they were telling that their the fiscal deficit is less than 3%. But actually when finally they admitted and said it is 12%. So then that is how the Greece economy was almost on the verge of collapse. Luckily they survived.
This has been in fact one of the basic issues which has been determining the political mandate in this country.
And how prudent and how responsible our leaders are. That is also a response. Anyway, so 69 is A because only one statement is correct. Then question number 70, there is slight confusion about the United Nations. First statement says all countries of the United Nations are adopted this global compact for safe, orderly and regular migration. This first statement is wrong because all countries have not adopted. At least 5 countries opposed this resolution in the UN in 2018. And in fact, US is a prominent country opposed this, and at least 12 countries abstained from voting. 24 did not even participate in the voting. So when the statement says all countries of United Nations have adopted, this is absolutely wrong. Second statement is correct. In fact, the second statement is also wrong. The objectives and commitments of the GCM are binding. No, it is not a binding treaty. It is only a recommendatory in nature. It is not an international treaty in the first place. It is a resolution passed in the UN, the General Assembly. And the third is also wrong because it is not talking about internal migration. It is only international migration. Sovereignty is different. So all the 3 statements are wrong. So answer should be D in this case. None should be the answer. That is question number 70. Question number 71. Yeah.
Okay, so coming to question number 71, again it was a very predictable question.
Yes.
Last year also we predicted that question on Ukraine can come, and every year they are asking such similar type of mapping question. So you should have been ready. So the answer is very clearly only 2. The Hungary and Romania are the countries which are sharing land border with Ukraine. Then moving on to question number 72. With reference to Earth's atmosphere, which one of the following statement is correct? So I still remember whenever I'm teaching in GS and when I'm showing these electromagnetic radiations and everything, the students are like, "Kya zarurat hai?"
They are pissed off because too much of science.
Yes. But again, the question has come.
Coming.
Yes. So here the first statement talked about total amount of insolation received at equator is roughly about 10 times of that received at the polls.
Guesswork can
Yes,
help in
yes,
removing
yes,
that answer,
yes.
because 10 times is too
Yes,
much.
too much.
Yes.
It's too much. In fact, at equator, it is around 180 watts per meter square per year, and at the poles it is around 80 watts.
Yeah.
So highest is not received at the
It's
equator.
around 40%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highest is, in fact, highest is not received at the equator.
Yes.
It is received in tropics and subtropics,
Yes.
where it is over 240 watts.
Yeah.
So definitely it was wrong. Then B, infrarays constitute roughly 2/3 of insolation. Again, it was incorrect. We have seen in the classes 49% of the solar spectrum is infrared basically. Then if you talk about infrared waves are largely absorbed by water vapor that is concentrated in the lower atmosphere. So I have told in fact in the classes itself that water vapor, if you talk about, is the most powerful greenhouse gas.
Yes.
That is there in the atmosphere.
They absorb maximum.
Yes. So it is absorbing maximum amount of infrared waves. So C is the correct answer. We don't need to read D, but
Yes.
again, but just for the sake of it, infrared waves are part of visible spectrum of the electromagnetic waves of the solar radiation. So you know, visible is not infrared; it is short wavelength radiations. So the answer of 72 is C.
C.
Then coming to 73. Again, it was a question which we normally talk in the classes in the biogeography. So statement 1 talks about that the soil in the tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. We know it is not correct because there is heavy leaching taking place in these areas. So statement 1 is definitely
So
wrong.
least fertile is.
Yes, it is one of the least
Yeah.
fertile. Statement 2, the high temperature and moisture of tropical rainforest cause dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. Because of the high temperature and moisture, what happens? Microbial activity in the soil is very high. And
humus is very
yes. So because of that microbial activity, the organic matter, if you talk about, it is decomposed very quickly. So it is one of the soils which is very deficient if you talk about in organic matter. So definitely if you look into here, the answer would become D. So statement 2 is correct.
Again, easy, because once
Yes.
you know if statement 1 is wrong, automatically D is the answer.
So 74, coming to that. So temperature contrast between continents and oceans is great during summer than in winter. Statement 1 is talking about. So again, the classes come to my mind when I'm teaching in the class. Whenever I show the students the isothermal and isobar maps, so they are like, do we need, sir? So if you just look into the maps of July and January, you see the bending of the isotherms. You will find that the maximum bending of the isotherms is found in winter season.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you talk about the statement 1, it is wrong. And statement 2, this is a very common statement. Specific heat of water is more than that of land surface. So again, the answer would become D.
Yeah. First statement is wrong. Second statement is correct. Yeah, that is seismograph. Again, a simple question.
Yes, a very simple question. In a seismogram, P waves are recorded earlier than the S waves. So again, we know that they are the fastest. In P waves, the individual particles vibrate to and fro. So we know that these are basically longitudinal waves.
Yeah.
And S waves,
Transverse.
they are transverse waves. So they are vibrating at right angles. So here, what will happen? Answer would become C. Both 1 and 2 are correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Then with reference to this coal-based thermal power plants in India, a very interesting statement. Again, none of them are using seawater. It is not correct, because at least wherever it is in the coastal region, they are using seawater. In fact, there is a proposal now that fresh water should not be used and only seawater should be used, because we want to save fresh water. So similarly, none of them is set up in the water stress basic. No. At least 40% are in Rajasthan, in Gujarat, in most of these places are water stressed region. So they are depending on the river water and in water stressed region also. So the second statement is also wrong. None of them is privately owned. Again wrong. Our Adani is there. So again, if you remember Adani, at least 2 answers are correct automatically. So Adani power, Adani thing. If you're reading newspaper, we are hearing only coal based, and he is the largest importer of coal also. So anyway, so all the 3 are wrong. So none is the answer. 76. 77. It's a science. Finally,
So it's a very easy question. It's talking about Wolbachia method. So basically, it's a method of controlling the growth of mosquitoes in our environment. So what it does, it makes these mosquitoes important, so that they cannot reproduce. So basically, it's for
And not only that, it releases more male mosquitoes in the atmosphere, so the number of females are less. Male mosquitoes go berserk and pagal ho ke mar jayega.
So the answer is A, controlling the viral disease spread by mosquitoes. 78.
Yeah. 78 is talking about, again about the carbon sequestration. And now some of the modern techniques they are talking. In US, there is a startup company. They have started by trying to absorb the carbon dioxide by spreading finely ground basalt rock on farmlands extensively. They are pouring it, and those, they are able to absorb carbon dioxide. So that's a startup company. It's a good investment also they got. Similarly, they are talking about, if we can increase the alkalinity of the oceans by adding lime, that also can absorb and also prevent carbon dioxide from release from the oceans. So both are modern technique they are trying. And of course the third one, we have heard a lot about the carbon sequestration by capturing carbon dioxide and then sending into the ground, underground and all. This is already talked. So the third statement, there is no doubt, but 1 and 2 are modern new startups. They are talking about as a big technique for the future, whereby we may be absorbing carbon dioxide. So all the 3 are correct. So answer should be C. Similarly, this aerial metagenomics.
Genomics. So this is a new process, non-destructive process. So what we do in this process, so we basically take samples from the air, and then we see the DNA of microorganisms, and through which we talk about various characteristics of that area. So the answer will be A, collecting DNA samples from air in a habitat at one go. Then for 80 microsatellite DNA, so it was found in this Human Genome Project. So if you at least know about this idea that it's a part of Human Genome Project, so then you can say that it's mainly for population studies, and the answer will be A, studying the evolutionary relationship among various species of fauna.
We have to deduce. It's not a direct question. It's slightly complex.
It's slightly complex. So if you go to Google and search all the options, so there are potential chances that it can be used in 2 or 3 options, but the answer will be A.
So then another current affairs only. This is the Janani Suraksha Yojana. Out of that, 4 statements are given. It is a safe motherhood intervention of the state health department. No, this is the National Rural Health Mission program, not a state health department's program. So first statement is wrong. Second statement is to reduce maternal and neonatal mortality among poor pregnant women. That is correct. Then it aims to promote institutional delivery, one of the major objectives. They also give a lot of money for ASHA also. So these are 3 objectives. So 2 and 3 are correct. Again, 4th statement is wrong because there is no major program for infants from after 28 days. That infant mortality reduction and all, this is not part of the Janani Suraksha Yojana. So 1 and 4 are wrong. Only 2 statements are correct. So answer should be B. Similarly, 82, it is about the anemia mukt Bharat. बड़ा बड़ा स्टेटमेंट है, कोई मुक्ति हो ही नहीं रहा, लेकिन we have too much of slogans, so it's unfortunate that we have to study and then feel bad that it's not happening anyway. So the first statement is wrong. Why? Because it is prophylactic calcium they are talking. See, in the entire anemia mukt program, iron, folic acid and iron, that is their focus, not calcium supplementation. So first statement is wrong because it should have been iron, not calcium. Second statement is correct. Runs a campaign for delayed cord clamping at the time of childbirth. That is correct. It provides for periodic deworming of children and adolescents. That is also correct. Then it addresses non-nutritional issues like malaria, the hemoglobinopathics and all, fluorosis, all. So these 3 statements are correct. 2, 3 and 4 are correct. So only 3 should be the answer. So 82. Then 83 talks about carbon fiber. That's again science.
So it talks about carbon fibers. So carbon fibers are light materials. They have more strength, tensile capacity as compared to metals, lightweight also, and they are also more efficient in the case of fire and other accidents. So carbon fibers are used in automobiles and making wings of the aircrafts and the frame of automobiles. So the first statement is correct, but carbon fibers are not biodegradable. So therefore, they are not recyclable. They can be used again, but they are not recyclable. So the answer will be C, both 1 and 2. Then 84th question is talking about accelerometer. So what accelerometer does, it calculates or it looks for the change in velocity, what we call acceleration, and it is used, it has different kind of uses, like calculating steps in our mobile phone. It's also done by accelerometer, gyroscope, then motion sensing as the phone moves from portrait to landscape. So there are various uses. So detection of car crash collision, which result in the deployment of airbags. In this also, this accelerometer is used. Then in the case of free fall of laptop, the hard drive automatically shuts down. So that's also done through accelerometer. And also this idea that tilt of phone and the changes in from portrait to landscape. So all three are correct, and accelerometer is used in all the three things. Answer is C. Then 85th question, it's about biofilters and especially in RAS system. So first statement is biofilters provide waste treatment by removing uneaten fish feed. It's one of the main objective of this biofilters. Then it converts ammonia into nitrate. So it first oxidizes ammonia into nitrite. Then nitrite is more toxic. So ammonia is highly toxic, then nitrite, then nitrate. So what biofilter does, it converts ammonia into nitrate and it's very less toxic. Third is biofilters increases phosphorus as nutrient for fish in water. So there are two uses for this increase in phosphorus. It also make biofilters efficient. The clogging will be less in biofilters, and also at the same time phosphorus is one of the main nutrients of fish. So it will also help there. So the answer will be all three. In 86th, the first 2 points are given in inverse order.
Wrong.
It's wrong. First two are wrong. Pulsars are rotating neutron stars. So it's very basic, easy question. So the only answer will be this.
In fact, in the 86, just to help you, nebulae is the giant cloud of dust and gas in the space, and Cepheids are the stars which brighten and dim periodically. So they have interchangeably given to confuse you. So pulsars are the rotating neutron stars. So only one is correct. The problem is we have only one. If you don't know even one, there is a problem. So only one is correct. So A is the answer. 87. Which of the following are using satellite navigation system? The most famous is our GPS American program. Then GLONASS, the Russian program. Galileo, the European program. Now Japan also has a program, and even China has a program. China has the Mathew program. So Japan is the other one having a program. Australia, Canada, Israel and all, they are using the other surrounding programs. So Japan is the answer. That is 87.
The name of that is quasi-zenith satellite system. So there are 6 countries in the world which have this satellite navigation system. India and Japan have regional satellite navigation system. The other 4 have this global. Ours is Navi.
And then this ballistic missile, the 2 statements, in fact, ballistic missiles are jet propelled subsonic. See, ballistic is ballistics, okay, whether it is a projectile motion or not. Whereas cruise missiles are, where it is maintaining a specific height from the ground. So the very statement, the definition of ballistic and cruise is not about whether it is jet propelled or subsonic or anything. It is about the path in which it is traveling. So the first statement is wrong because of that. Similarly, Agni is a ballistic missile, not a cruise missile, whereas BrahMos is a cruise missile, so they have interchangeably given. So both the statements are wrong. So neither 1 and 2.
So in both the statements, they have interchanged the idea. So ballistic missiles are generally rocket propelled and cruise missiles are generally jet propelled. So they changed the idea. And in Agni 5, it's ballistic missiles.
Yes.
Then 89th question. So it's about mercury pollution. So we also know we have Minamata Convention related to this mercury. So gold mining activity is a source of mercury pollution in the world. So most of the golds are mined through rivers, so deranged rivers. So what they do, when they get some pieces of gold, they cover it through mercury and they burn the mercury finally. They get the pure gold. So it's one of the reasons for mercury pollution. Then coal-based thermal power plants are the main reason for mercury pollution in the world. Then there is none safe level of exposure to mercury. So any amount of mercury is bad for any individual, either adult or children. So there is no such safe levels of mercury. So the answer will be all three. The answer C. With reference to green hydrogen, consider the following statements. So look into these statements. All of these statements are potential ideas about green hydrogen. So the statements are framed like it can be. So it can be used directly as a fuel for internal combustion. It can be used. So it can
Only is very dangerous.
only
Can be is very safe.
can be very safe because it's one of the potential uses. Then it can be blended with natural gas and used as a fuel for heat or power generation. So it generally when it's used in prototypical models, so it's generally mixed with natural gas because currently the power it generates is very less. So we are improving technologies. So then the third statement, it can be used in the hydrogen fuel cell to run vehicles. So it's also correct. So there will be a hydrogen chamber. Then it will be connected to fuel cells and it will run the vehicles, provide the efficient amount of energy. The answer will be all three.
In fact, in very recent time, Gadkari ji was talking about green hydrogen, the potential of green hydrogen.
Yeah.
And he talked about it that India can in fact become the Middle East of green hydrogen in future, because ultimately the problem with electric vehicles is that the mobility factor is somewhat doubtful because you cannot charge them everywhere.
Yes.
So when there is a kind of liquid fuel like green hydrogen, then ultimately there will be greater mobility and more flexibility in mobility. In fact,
Also,
so
Reliance and
yes.
UPSC are trying to decrease the cost of per kg of green hydrogen. So 91, consider the following statements with reference to India. According to Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Act 2006, the medium enterprise are those with investment in plant and machinery between 15 crore and 25 crore. This is a direct statement and incorrect statement. All bank loans to micro, small and medium enterprises qualify under the priority sector. It's a correct statement.
So 2 is correct.
2 is correct. The answer will be B. 92, with reference to central bank digital currencies, consider the following statement. First, it is possible to make payments in a digital currency without using US dollar or SWIFT system. So it's a correct idea because when we talk about SWIFT system, so that's a very different idea. A digital currency can be distributed with a condition programmed into it, such as time frame for spending it. So it's also correct statement. So these are the basically main properties of or main things due to which we are RBI is even also talked about digital currencies. So the answer will be C, both 1 and 2. In the context of finance, the term beta refers to, so it's a very simple direct question, a numeric value that measures the fluctuations of a stock to changes in the overall stock market. So it's called beta.
The self 94 94.
So in 90, this is one of the tricky questions because the first statement is wrong. First statement is easy. It was NABARD, not SBI, so it's wrong. But second statement is tricky. In an SHG, all members of a group take responsibility for a loan that an individual members take. So SHG is based on this idea of joint liability. So if anyone is taking loan, so other persons will also have to take the responsibility of that loan. Otherwise, everyone will be taking loan and it will be default.
In fact, in this, one of the condition of SHG is no individual loan as such. In fact, it is collectively only, for the group only the loan is given, not for individual in the first place. So that is why the second statement is wrong. So third statement is correct. Regional rural banks and scheduled commercial banks support SHG, that is correct. So 1 is correct. So only 1 is correct.
1 is wrong. 2 and 3 are correct. 2 and 3 are
No, no, no.
This joint liability is there. So
No, join, but the problem is all members of the group take responsibility, but normally that individual loan is not given.
no, the law says individual can take loan, but it has to be signed by everyone.
Okay, so then there will be 2. Okay. So B,
Basically not individual loan, but it's named individual.
yeah, individual loan, but it is taken for the group.
For the-
So 2, B should be the answer, right? B, only 2. Only 2. Then coming to the 95, the public sector healthcare system focus on curative with limited preventive, promotive and rehabilitative care. That is wrong. Because India has a large component of preventive one, especially the vaccination and all. It's all preventive only. So first statement is wrong. Second statement is correct because India's decentralized approach of healthcare delivery, the states are obviously it's a state subject, so the state has a primary role. So otherwise, all the when first statement is wrong, second statement is correct. So answer should be D. So similarly, 96 question, according to the, in fact, you can answer that World Water Development Report. Yeah.
So, in question number 19, statement 1 reads, according to the United Nations World Water Development Report 2022, India extracts more than a quarter of world's groundwater withdrawal each year. So, this was in news, and because of that, this question has come. So, statement 1, if you talk about, is definitely correct.
Correct.
And statement 2, India needs to extract more than a quarter of world's groundwater each year to satisfy the drinking water and sanitation needs of almost 18% of world population living in its territory. So you must be aware that most of the groundwater withdrawal which India is doing, it is related with the irrigation sector. And in fact, the critical limits to which we have reached, most of it has started with the green revolution. The problem, if you talk about.
So it's not
yes.
sanitation or drinking water.
Yes, yes. So
2 is wrong.
2 is wrong. So the answer should be C.
C. So in 97, it is related to constitution. Central government has a duty to protect states. Yes, Article 355 says that it is the duty of the central government to protect the states and give even directives. So first statement is correct. But second statement, the constitution exempts the states from providing legal counsel to a person being held for preventive detention. That is not correct. See, Article 22 is not available. That does not mean that there cannot be any legal support for a person who is in preventive detention, even for an enemy alien. Since India is a democratic country, even for Ajmal Kasab, who is a Pakistani who were caught as an enemy alien, we have given legal counsel. He had an advocate appointed by the government. So, but a person who is in preventive detention, a very much an Indian citizen, we give support. So, second statement is wrong. Third, according to the Prevention of Terrorism Act, POTA, confession of the accused before the police cannot be used as an evidence. That is also wrong, because confession in front of a senior police officer was taken as an evidence in POTA. This is one of the criticism of POTA, because in front of police you will admit many things, and based on the admission you will be punished. So 2 and 3 are wrong. So only one statement is correct. So answer should be A. Coming to 98, luckily a simple question, where decades of civil strife, food shortage, and if you have gone through, even any civil service aspirant will answer this, Somalia, and we always compare, if you see a very lean and thin person on the vision, he might have come from Somalia. So, so that itself is a proverb type in India. So answer is D. Then in a biodiversity management committee, it's part of the Nagoya Protocol. Right. So it is the first statement. Both the statements are correct, in fact, and the Biodiversity Management Committee has important functions in determining the access and benefit sharing, including the power to levy, collect taxes, and all. So both the statements are correct. So question number 99, C is the answer based on Nagoya Protocol about biodiversity. 100 is again slightly complex, because facts and figures you may not be knowing, because again 1, 2, 3, so it's very difficult to answer this. First statement says the member nominated to either house of the parliament or legislative assembly are eligible to be included in the electoral college. No, nominate members are not eligible for voting. Number 1 is wrong. Higher the number of elective member assembly seats, higher is the value. Again, absolutely wrong, because if you see, for example, Karnataka has 224 assembly seats. The value of vote is 131. Madhya Pradesh has 230. It is 151. Oh, to bhul jao. You take the case of, say, West Bengal. 294 seats are there, but their vote is only 151. Madhya Pradesh has 230. It is also 151. So, number of seats is not the criteria. Please remember, value of an MLA is population divided by the number of MLAs at that time. But at that time in 1971, things were different. Similarly, Tamil Nadu, 234 seats are there. Their value is 176. Maharashtra has 288, but their value is only 175. So 288 and 175. Tamil Nadu 234 and 176. So there is no connection between the argument saying that no, number of assembly seats more means the value is more or less. No connection. Second statement is also wrong. Third statement, the value of vote of each MLA of Madhya Pradesh is greater than Kerala. That is also wrong because Madhya Pradesh is value is 131, Kerala is 152. So that is also wrong. Finally, the fourth statement is correct. The value of Puducherry is 16, whereas Arunachal Pradesh is 8. That is the only thing we can say it is correct. So A is the answer in this case. So answer should be A, 100 is A. So coming to the conclusion, it is, unfortunately that, many of us are victims of this paper, I will say, because 48 questions were only one, only two, only three, all four, none. So this is disaster. Okay, so in fact that is the only word I can use. And if you ask, last year the cutoff was 86, I think, right? 86.5, something like that. So I think even though question prima facie look easy, many of us might have made so many unwanted mistakes because of this particular. See, for example, the 100th question. Just see, we may be knowing 2-3 statements. Even the fourth statement, if you don't know, who will remember Pondicherry's value is more or Arunachal Pradesh value is more? How can you remember? And that too based on 1971 census. How can you remember that? So, whether you see Madhya Pradesh, 151 is the value. Tamil Nadu 234 seat with 176 is the value. So these kind of things, it is a crime on our aspirants. That is the only word I will use. So I think we all think that the cutoff will come down.
On the lower
it
side.
should be around 80 for the general category, and accordingly, it will come down for all categories. So those who are getting around, I will say 78 to 82 in that range, should be seriously preparing for the main exam. There is less time. September 18th, September 19th is the main exam. So naturally you have to start preparing. Maybe 1 or 2 days break and start. We are also starting a general studies 500 plus program, whereby we are planning to discuss 500 potential questions which can be asked based on. So this definitely a lot of questions can be expected from that kind of a program. That's a revision program with tests also. You can look into those things. So in fact the idea is the next 3 months you should spend for, utilize it properly, because if you sit and relax, it can be a crime. If those who are in the range of 75 plus should be, wholeheartedly preparing for the main exam. Don't waste any time. God given opportunity, one attempt, you can cross and reach your destination. Then your fate and destiny will change if you become an IAS. There is no doubt regarding this. So please don't give up. And the only thing is perseverance and hard work and nothing else. You have done a good job. And those who could not perform, don't give up. This is not the end of the life. Attempts are there. Please prepare after a couple of days of break and start once again. If it is the last attempt, this is not the end of life. We all prepared and failed. That is why we are sitting here. So you see us and prepare for the future. There is a different, career waiting for you. That should be the approach for you. Otherwise, all of us should enjoy and celebrate. We are given a good attempt. If you are passing, prepare for the main. If you are failing and still attempt is there, prepare for next attempt. If this is the last attempt, celebrate and think of a new future. Maybe become a teacher. Who knows? You can think about that also. That is what I guess. Himanshu, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to add few things. What will happen because of such kind of paper? My prediction is that there will be more fear related with prelims. And this fear will be utilized by so much the supply side, the markets which are there. So you have to be very cautious in what will be your future approach. For example, if you are preparing for the next year prelims, even if you look into this paper, you will see that if you had prepared all the core areas well,
And revision.
yes, and revision and consolidated. Here, the thing was, before we used to say that ultimately what happens, there is elimination technique in prelims, and because of that, you don't require that many revisions which you require for mains. But now that revision difference has become more thinner.
Yes.
You have to remember it very, very properly, like we do for the mains. And the people who have done this, they would have performed well even in this paper. So that is what you have to understand, because there were so many things. We are busy since almost when we got the paper. So there were so many things. We were also confused So you have to understand that in the paper there are always exceptional questions will be there, and those exceptional questions don't determine your fate. So you don't have to run behind them. You have to study the core material. You have to consolidate the core material, and that is the way to crack the exam. Okay. So okay. So all the best to all of you, and definitely we'll be meeting for the mains 500 plus GS. Also, we have our programs of geography optional, history optional, and sociology optional. Test series, enrichment courses, 500 plus. All these programs are available for all these optionals. So we'll try. Those of you who are definitely going to appear for the mains, will be working harder than you. We can promise that, and definitely we'll make it this time. Okay. Goodbye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.